Hello and welcome back to Suzerain. And first off, in today's episode, wow, look at that growth. I mean, I know it's still like slightly going down and it's, but I mean, looking at how it was before, I am very happy with that growth. I just noticed that when I was like preparing to begin this. It's like, oh wow, that's nice. Um, you know, increased growth, nationwide revolt, that's a good exchange. The country is currently facing widespread violent protests as a result of recent events. Interesting. The situation has become increasingly intense, and if not contained, it could cause significant harm to the country's economy and stability. Security forces are working tirelessly to restore order and prevent further violence. Diplomatic pressure. Sordland is facing noticeable pressure from Rumburg, demonstrated by the reduction of diplomatic staff and the closure of key consulate. The development is expected to significantly impact Sordland's diplomatic relations with Rumburg, potentially leading to further deterioration. I'm sure that's fine. Vessord. United Cortana Consulate helped protesters. Around midnight, Red Youth protesters clashed with young swords at the Vessord city center, resulting in many injuries. The counter-protesters were cornered in front of the United Cortana Consulate after they were pushed back by the police. The diplomatic missions opened its doors, and the Red Youth members escaped inside. The police are still waiting outside the building for the return of Red Youth members. Worrying. Suzerain. Rise of Golkodism in rural areas in Bergia. Golkodism, a minor religious branch of Nurity, has gained a significant following in the city of Suzerain and the rural areas of Bergia. Mainly due to its limited access to education and employment opportunities, the sect offers a sense of community, purpose, and salvation through strict adherence to its doctrines. British Freedom Front, BFF, and foreign proselyters are suspected to be behind the sudden increase in Golkodism. Many British political leaders are recruiting members through grassroots campaigns, making Golkodism one of the most popular religious groups in the region. However, officials fear that the sect's strict rules and practices may lead to social unrest, warranting further investigation and the development of strategies in collaboration with local community leaders to address the situation. I mean, it's just a religion. Calm down, people. Sure, it's fine. Right? Nothing's gone bad when religion started coming into a place for the first time, right? Arcasian Treaty Organization. Arcacia develops first ICBM. Recent intelligence briefings have spotlighted Arcacia's military progress, underscoring the successful completion of the Missile 4, an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, of significant power and range. The Missile 4, with its estimated strike range spanning thousands of kilometers, represents a major leap in Arcacian military technology. Its precision targeting system allows for destruction of targets at a long distances, thereby escalating the potential threat Arcacia poses to territories well beyond the borders of Western Recopa. Interesting. Alright, well, let's check what's on the news. What's going on? We got some Sordland Today. Rumors of an infrastructure project. Anonymous sources have reported to Sordland Today that several government officials have invited construction companies to meetings regarding a new major infrastructure project. If true, this is great news, as infrastructure in Sordland is lacking heavily, needing investment. We hope that very qualified and experienced companies like Underhall Construction win the bid. Economist. Underhall Construction, once again number one. Underhall Construction was once again picked as the number one construction company of the year by the reputable Statistics Sordland. This was the 11th time the company was selected for the top spot in a row, since Kurt Skarla was appointed as CEO. Veteran industry leader Skar congratulated the employees first and foremost in the private company meeting held in a luxurious resort in Erolori. He also mentioned the recent addition of Heart of Sordland organization CEO Marcel Cornti to the board of advisor helped immensely and grew great success. At the economics, we think now is a great time to invest in the Underhall construction, as the current year's projection already shows a 13% increase in growth compared to the last year. The Lachevin Times. Gang violence claims young girl's life. A 15-year-old girl was shot to death in Narbel as she walked her dog a few blocks away from her apartment, the police said at the shooting. which occurred in an area affiliated with the gang Corinly, was a reckless act of violence, and the victim was not the target. The 15-year-old was shot about 4:45 p.m., right before she was returning home. A man who witnessed the event told police the shooters yelled gang slogans at him on the street before he heard someone fire. At least 10 shots, sources said. He later saw the victim had been hit and called the authorities. Our sources report that the local police forces of the region is understaffed and overworked, which adds to the current bleak situation. The radical, the real truth behind economic crisis. We have all seen this scenario play before. Large corporate businesses, time and time again, receive money from the government under the disguise of helping the economy. But what about the people? Many in the galactic regions still do not have electricity or fresh water in their homes, and they are the lucky ones. There is a growing housing crisis, and people are in the streets begging for food. In the year of 1954, it is high time that money is invested in us, the people of Swordland, instead of armchair millionaires in their luxury villas. Well, capitalism works, guys, okay? 1927, never again. I was there when General Lutheran and Rickard clashed in the plains outside of Holsword, when the armies of Swordish people killed each other. I was there when Colonel Sol won the war, after bombarding cities with Swordish civilians inside them. We saw this great nation fall into bloodshed and chaos. We thought that we learned our lesson and formed a new republic, but one man's ideas became the idea of the state, and we allowed it to be forced upon us. We are a generation who lived with Turk and Sol for most of their lives. However, this generation is different. Our kids have not experienced civil war or martial law. This generation is born in a changing time. We cannot allow the same conditions to return. We cannot forget when General Lutheran declared martial law in 1927, when his tanks rolled and murders took place. Those tanks cannot roll again. Bombs cannot fall again. Freedoms cannot be suspended again. 1927, never again. Geopolitico. Rumburg closes consulate. Rumburg has closed down its consulate in Swordland, one of the few East Mercopian nations to have diplomatic ties with the Northern Kingdom. This comes right after the deployment of Rumburgian troops near the northern borders of Swordland. Rumburgian officials cite political unrest and uncertainty as the main reason for the closure, while raising concerns over security in the country. In Lachevin, a diplomatic source said the Rumburgian flag has been lowered overnight, and that the diplomatic staff were expected to leave Swordland on Friday or Saturday. Many Lacheviners were shocked at the 120-year-old Rumburgian consulate closed. Dozens of citizens with Rumburgian relatives went out to protest against this action in the afternoon. It was not clear if the consulate closure was temporary or permanent, signaling a break in diplomatic ties which date from 1923. Our editors see this situation as further deterioration of relations between Swordland and Rumburg. This can be easily regarded as one-sided provocation from the north. Yeah? Well, it happens. First, we'll react to the unrest. The political situation around the country is escalated. Chief Strategist Lucian Gallade has prepared several actions plans that we can execute. What will we address the intensifying political climate? Cause for restraint on national television? Visit affected towns in person? Label all protesters as traitors? Geesh. Expand the police by deploying all recruits in training? We will visit affected towns in person. That seems like a nice thing to do. Why not? End of day at the Maroon Palace. It was late in the evening. Oh, wait, shoot. We got one more news. President Rain talks to protesters. President Anton Rain visited towns around Greater Holsword and Gruni regions, which were heavily affected by the protests and riots that popped up around the country, triggered by the death of Circus. He has been seen talking to protesters and listening to their concerns of the citizens. This sends a powerful message to the Swordist citizens that the government is walking among them and listening to their problems. Holsword is desperately trying to restart Swordland's economy after the recession, and this political unrest is not helping, said a Swordish scholar and professor at law at the Holsword State University in Holsword. Bloodish citizens targeted. 20 Bloodish citizens were attacked by a group of people suspected to be members of Young Swords during their peaceful protest to support Bernard Circus. The group was overwhelmed, and local police forces couldn't reach the protest to protect them amidst the chaotic crowd. The attackers ran away without getting caught, and 11 of the victims were hospitalized with critical injuries. Alright, now we go to this event. It was late in the evening. The Maroon Palace was finally getting somewhat quiet when I returned to my office at the top. I eagerly approached my chair and sprawled out on it. It had been an exhausting day, just like every day since I took the office. Let's just lean back and relax. I stretched out my arms, leaned back against my chair, and took a deep breath. Whole Sword skyline was daunting, but beautiful. I glanced downwards out the window and saw Surge and the guards waiting for me by the main gate. Surge! Wait, you're not Surge! I heard a couple of knocks on the door. My secretary, Livia Suno, entered. Mr. President, Mr. Tusk is here to see you. You had a meeting with Lochberg's spokesman. I'm so sorry for not giving you proper notice. Don't worry about it. Thank you for your understanding. After a moment, Mr. Tusk swaggered into the room. I've met Swordland's most prominent businessman once or twice, but never alone. He had large jowls, blindingly shiny shoes, and the air of someone who was used to getting his way. Anything to drink, Mr. Tusk? Water? Whiskey? Cognac. Preferably from before you were born, sweetheart. I'll check the supply room. Livia backed out of the office, shooting me an apologetic look as she did so. Walter hung up his hat, which I could see was lined with mink. He fixed me with a long, hard stare, then broke into a toothy grin. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to congratulate you. We both sat down. My business partners and I wish you a successful term as the leader of our nation. Thank you, Mr. Tusk. I have no chance to say this at the ball with all the panic, but we are very much looking forward to working with you. Thank you. I'd like to build a profitable relationship between us. That being said, there are some concerns of mine and the people I represent, which I would like to take this opportunity to clear up. What are these concerns? The ruined state of the economy in Swordland has influenced everyone. The recession hit all of us hard. Walter pulled out a box of cigars from his pocket. I have these brought from Lesbia, the best cigars in the whole continent. Would you like to try one? You go ahead. I don't smoke. Or I don't want to smoke right now. Walter grabbed himself a cigar and lit it. He looked out towards the city scenery as he puffed away. You are having a good start to the term for sure, besides the recent troubles. Glad you have decided to promote the free market, which is the only thing that can get us out of this mess. It's good that we think alike on that matter. To a closer relationship, then. One that will bring Swordland out of the crippling recession. He grinned. The high-speed rail investment was a great decision. The business logistics will improve and boost economy once finished. The intention of the administration is to boost the economy overall. The right intentions for sure. We can be close allies. The group can help you get Swordland out of the recession, which will be the key problem to solve in your term, and could even determine your re-election. Let's start with the gesture of goodwill. Soon the investment project contract will be awarded to one of 3 main contenders. He pulled a check out of his pocket and slid it towards me on the table. My personal bank details were listed on it, with a deposit of 500,000 Swordis Ren ready to be transferred. This was 6 months of a president's salary. If the contract were somehow awarded to Underhall Construction, they would not only work hard and deliver, but also do it on time. Underhall Construction, you say? Interesting. What do you think, Mr. Rain? Wouldn't that be good? He put his index finger on the check. There was a noise by the door. Livia Suno was standing there, holding a tray with a bottle and 2 glasses. I'm sorry, Mr. Tusk, but all I could find was a 1942 70. I hope that's acceptable. She quickly put the tray on my desk and walked out. Tusk eyed her as she left. Remind me to visit your office more often. Now, where were we? Do we have a deal? Not yet. We both know you can do better than that amount. You're right about that. I'll make this my final offer. He pulled out another check with a smile, this time 1,000,000 Swordis Ren listed. That's a lot of money. Oh, that's a lot of money. I'm actually gonna do... I accept the offer. He grinned. The check, right? Okay, who did I just agree to underhaul construction? Let me write. Okay, notepad. Underhaul construction. There. Just to remind me which one I just was bribed to give the stuff to, because I don't want to be bribed and be like, who was I bribed to support again? That would be pretty bad. Like, I don't remember who I was bribed to support, huh? He pulled his hands back, and I took the check. This deal also aligns with the free market strategy your government has adopted, besides boosting further investment. Our goal is to unite every stakeholder to improve the economy. Exactly. Business owners need to unite and support growth. Thanks to your efforts, we'll see it happen. Oh, and before I forget, a final token of my gratitude. Walter pulls a box of cigars out of his pocket. The label reads Varno Benito. Some of Lespia's finest, made by true craftsmen in the fabled city of San Verlone. You should visit someday, should the opportunity arise. We will be in touch. Walter stood up, grabbed his jacket, and shook my hand before making his way towards the door. He smiled before closing the door and leaving. I gathered my things and prepared to finally head home. As I walked out, I noticed Livia still there, covering up her typewriter for the evening. If I may be so bold, Mr. President, did you accept his offer? As a matter of fact, I did. What of it? Are you sure it was a good idea? You've just given our leverage over you that he can use for the rest of your time in office. A valid concern, but I've made my decision. She and I took a moment to look out over the lights of the city before heading to the elevators. Yeah, look how rich I am. I am rich. Yeah, I am rich. Yeah. Look how rich I am. I have as much wealth as the government budget. Oh yeah, look how rich I am. Look how rich I am. Look, I'm gonna use this for the goodness of the people, okay? And Surge. Pale's issues warning over Rizian actions. In a formal address, Grand Duke Axel Rinhart of Pales issued a cautionary statement regarding recent Rizian activities. The Grand Duke expressed increasing concern over the intensifying border disputes and clashes over in territorial waters and gas fields. Asserting Pale's sovereignty, he called for respect for international laws and peaceful dialogue to prevent further escalation. He urged the Alliance of Nations to mediate this situation, emphasizing the potential risks these tensions could pose to regional situation. Narbel. Situation report. The Ministry of Defense reports that the situation along the border is getting tense. Rumberg's Southern Army was sighted, training close to our borders, and did not respond after we issued a radio message. The Chief of the Armed Forces, General Kruger, reports to have increased patrolling duties along the northern border to signal readiness. Smart. We got some news. Forum Gassam engineers' salaries under scrutiny. Recent revelations about the salary disparities within Gassam, one of the Swordland's largest corporations, have sparked public interest. Particularly, it has been revealed that foreign engineers, many hailing from Quinnell and Amrica, even significantly higher wages compared to their Swordish counterparts in other companies. This disparity highlights the challenges Swordish engineers face in an increasingly globalized job market. Kibner suggests expanding executive powers. The leader of NFP, Kazawar Kibner, has suggested that the new constitution should expand executive powers, adding fuel to the debate over the possibility of reforming the 1929 constitution. He pointed out the current dire situation of Swordland and emphasized the need for strong leadership. The current constitution suggests the division of executive power between the cabinet and the president, who has no immunity before the courts for acts of treason and unconstitutional behavior during office. In the system suggested by the NFP, the president would have absolute immunity before the courts, and it is the president who would chair the cabinet. It is not clear yet whether the suggestion would spark further debate in the reform committee within the PFJP and the USP. The PFJP proposal had suggested that the president should have no presidential decrees might result in the abolishment of the assembly and take the country to an early election, despite the independents' counter proposal to give a similar power to the parliament to take down the president, but that detail was not shared with the press in yesterday's press conference. LUS calls for corporate responsibility in Narbel. The labor union of Sordland, led by Cartina Horton, has made a strong call for corporate social responsibility in Narbel. An income inequality and public service deficiencies exacerbate. LUS demands a local cooperations set up to aid the community. It is time corporations prioritize people over profits, said Horton in a public statement. It's not just that the state's duties to arrange welfare budgets, but a shared responsibility. The statement urges corporations to invest in public health, education, and housing. That would be nice, yes. Reform demands gain popularity. Demands for reform are gaining more popularity than ever. Latest public opinion reports show that the majority of Sordish people want changes in the government structures that were established after Torkin Sol's military coup in 1929. The public trust in the Grand National Assembly and the Supreme Court is at an all-time low. Though rumors of reform talks are coming out from the Assembly, it seems unlikely that without complete unity, none of the parties would be able to lead such a proposal. In order to change the Constitution, the proposal must collect at least 150 signatures and reach the needed 166 votes. If the proposal passes the Assembly, it is still subject to another vote in the Supreme Court, as well as judicial review, which still stands as the biggest obstacle before the parties. Radical Workers' Party Solidarity March. The pro-minority Workers' Party of Bludia, WPB, rally in the Bludish majority city of Suzerain attracted a large audience. The gathering was heavy on flags and banners whipping in the rain and chill wind as the gatherers declared solidarity with Bernard Circus. Among the speakers of the rally was Morrison Lick, a Bludish member of the Assembly who is standing as the leader of the independents in the Grand National Assembly. Although not a member of the WPB, he was the leading figure of the event. We will again foil this war plot that was set up by Sol's ideology, he said, in reference to the series of conflict and bloodshed during Torkin Sol's term as president, which claimed thousands of Bludish lives. We will come out of this tunnel of conflict. We will not only win against discrimination, we will win the truth. We have all together foiled this trick of polarization. Our songs of peace, which spread from ism, will ring out even stronger all over Sordland, Leak added, in reference to ism incident of 1933, which triggered Torkin Sol's persecution of Bludish minorities, and the formation of the militant organization, Bludish Freedom Front. Alright, we do actually have a report as well over here. Local police working with nationalists. One of our agents acting as Young Swords member had an encounter with two members of the local police forces in Anrika, Alson Buller and Vic Nezer. According to the report, the policeman tried to bribe the agent to burn down a store that belongs to a known Communist Party member and to investigate further violence. We've detained the policeman on charges of corruption. Thank goodness. Finalization of the R1 track. We arrived in Anrika by train. After being greeted by crowds of cheering citizens and local government officials, we headed to the city hall. We were here for a significant meeting about the L1 project. Several construction companies sent their representatives to the city hall. Even though Lilius Graff couldn't make the meeting, I had Simon Hull and Gus Manger by my side. I came by train yesterday, and it was a little uncomfortable. Besides starting our economy recovery, this project will make the journey here much more pleasant, Mr. President. That is a given, but we'll also see the improvements in everything from logistics to growth. You made the right choice for sure. I trust your economic plans, Simon. I'm glad to hear that. We should be able to slow down the recession if we finish this project successfully. I'm sure we will. According to your documents, many citizens will be employed because of business expansions. What will it take to stop the recession? This is just the beginning. We will need to follow the project up with several other economic investments, which is dependent on our government budget, right? Yes. Simon searched through the documents he was holding and found the one he was looking for. I have the overview of the companies here. Simon handed the files over to me. Look at the files. I looked at the files. 3 corporations were listed. Swordish State Corporation, Underhall Constructions, and Taurus Holding. I reviewed the listed corporation. I also wrote down some notes and ideas. Which corporation should we talk about first? We'll talk about the State Corporation. Why not? The respected Swedish State Corporation, also known as the SSC, was founded in 1891. It is the main state corporation tasked with running the day-to-day construction services of our country. The SSC is the primary reason why our current infrastructure is outdated. We need more adaptive construction companies. The disadvantages would be going against your election promises of moving away from state-dominant economy. The Swedish State Corporation lacks a modern way of thinking. They also underperform with their slow construction methods. Gus stopped and laughed. Look at the abysmal regional railway system. They do have a wealth of knowledge in infrastructure. I have no great admiration for the SSC, but their track record clearly shows completed contracts with thousands of employees who have experience. According to preliminary calculations of the SSC, they would need more resources to finish a project of this size. I like the SSC, but want to hear about the others. And we'll look at Taurus Holdings next. Taurus Holding was founded in 1946 and is owned by the entrepreneur Gerald Foss. It is a new holdings company whose subsidizes use cutting-edge technology from Arcadia to reduce construction costs and prices. They are known to provide for their workers who are part of the labor union of Swordland. They are a very interesting corporation, especially because of their innovative construction methods, but I don't think they're suitable for large products like these. Why shouldn't we go with Taurus? To be frank, what was the largest mega project they worked on? I don't even remember. Gus shook his head. Choosing this corporation is too risky for a project like this. What if things were to go wrong? We shouldn't put our first project at risk. There's too much at stake here. They took a joint contract in Arcadia for restructuring the highway intersection of one of the major cities. It went well, but it was their only large-scale success. If we're going to try a different company, this one is the most unique. The project manager from Taurus Holding mentions that they would be able to finish the project with the allocated funding. They are also the only company who found the budget significant, making them a cheaper alternative. I don't feel confident about Taurus Holding. Underhall Construction. The real estate and construction giant was founded in 1925 and expanded during the economic boom of the 30s. Picking this corporation would fit our market economy policy. The CEO of Underhall is Chris Snar, the mayor of Conriet. He sold half his shares a few years ago, but seemed very eager about the L1 bid. I had the chance to work with Underhall Construction Wholesale. They took several contracts for the central station, renovation, and excelled at it. I would like to hear your thoughts, Simon. I think that they have been doing relatively well in the private sector, where they are dominating the construction industry with successful projects. Nonetheless, they subjected their workers to conditions below our working standards during the whole Sword Central Stations contract, which is troubling. We need to be able to trust the corporation. This is a base requirement for the contract. I think their capabilities are very suitable for the L1 railway project. They worked on 2 infrastructure projects in Gelsord and 1 in Greater Holsord. They were worth 2 billion rin in total. Underhall has specifically mentioned their solid track record and highlighted that they do anticipate to go over budget, but they will finish on time. I'm not sure. I have settled on Underhall Construction. Wonder why. Good that we are staying consistent in our economic strategy. Simon sighed. This is what I do anyways, so why not accept a bribe for what I'm gonna do anyways, right? Simon signed a certain section of the dossier and fixed his glasses. Some of the Lothrenberg group will be pleased. The contract will be awarded to Underhall Construction. You made the right choice. I can tell from my experience that we will be very satisfied with this company. The company will be notified today, and construction work will begin immediately after. I think we are off to a good start. My expectations are that the grand opening ceremony will be late next year. It will be a pleasure to celebrate together. For now, I'll return to my duties and visit some foreign partners in Rizia. See you soon, Mr. President. Thank you, and this concludes the meeting. The meeting ended, and we spent the remainder of the day attending events in Arnrika. It was very refreshing to attend cultural dance events and hear the traditional Swedish music of the region. But I think this is, we have lost some budget, but now my personal wealth is higher than the budget. Haha, get wrecked, government, even though I'm part of you. Anyways, But I think this is a good place to go ahead and end this episode of Suzerain. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.